Hey moms and dads, thanks for tuning in. Dr. Garworthy here from Foundation Chiropractic, where we focus on learning, behavior, and neurodevelopmental disorders in children. And today I want to specifically target ADHD. When we call these kids, what, they have Ferrari engines, right, with bicycle brakes. These kids just can't slow down. They run around, they can't sit still, they fidget, they can't focus in school. So what I want to do today is I want to explain to you why your child may be like that, but more importantly, what can we do to start improving those traits, right? What can we do to start improving this ADHD? What can we do to start balancing these Ferrari engine with these bicycle brakes? The big thing you need to understand is ADHD is a brain issue, right? So anything we're doing to improve it, we have to improve the way the brain functions. And there's ways we can do that. That's what I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. But first and foremost, I want to ask you if you exercise. If you do, what you'll notice is after you exercise, you have more mental clarity, more focus, you're less hyperactive, you're just in a better state. And that's really crucial to understand. That's because movement feeds your brain. Movement charges your brain's batteries. Your brain loves movement, okay? But your brain is also developed and built upon movement. When you're born, the first 6 months of your life, you have what's called primitive reflexive movements. Very common one is the palmar grasp. You do this to an infant, they'll automatically grasp like that. What that's doing is that's building pathways to their brain. It's building their nervous system. It's building the brain. And those primitive reflexes are housed right here in your brain stem, okay? So your brain is built bottom up like a house. The foundation is these primitive reflexive movements. Well, at 6 months of age, these reflexive movements should go away. And what that's a sign of is that, hey, your child's brain, your child's nervous system is growing and developing the way that we want it to. What I find in 99% of the kids that come into our office with ADHD is they still have primitive reflexes present. These kids can be 8, 10, 15 years old, and they still have primitive or immature reflexive movement patterns. What that's showing me is that there's immaturity in their brain. And what's that's going to happen then, if there's immaturity in their brain, do you think their brain's going to function as well as it should? No. And what that's going to lead to is this hyperactivity, right? This ADHD, it's this imbalance, it's this immaturity in their nervous system. So the number one thing we have to do is we have to check their primitive reflexes. If they have them, we have to get rid of them. Your brain is what they call neuroplastic, which means it's always forming new pathways and new connections. What we need to do is start forming new, better, stronger connections, and we can do that as we get rid of these primitive reflexes. The next thing is, as your brain's being built bottom up, it lateralizes side to side. You have a left brain and a right brain. We want equalization or balance between the two. Your left brain is more motor driven, it's more impulsive, it's more short-term attention. It's ADHD. Your right brain's the opposite. It's more sustained attention, safe actions. So what we find, as well as primitive reflexes with ADHD kids, they all have a right hemisphere weakness in the brain. That's not to say that there's brain damage at all. It's just their right brain didn't grow and develop as well as it should have. So the left brain and the left brain traits, which are impulsive, hyperactivity, short-term attention, those take over, and the child's right brain is not able to balance them out. So what we need to do is we need to start strengthening that right brain, okay, specifically the right prefrontal cortex. And chiropractic adjustments on the correct side of the body, new research supports, can strengthen that area of the brain. So what we need to do is we need to get rid of the primitive reflexes, and we need to start balancing the brains within these ADHD kids. And when you do that, you can get some tremendous, tremendous results. Take a look at our Facebook reviews with some of the results we've gotten with ADHD, autism, and things like that. So I hope this made sense. Parents, if you have questions, we're here to help in any way that we can. Please don't hesitate to call us, reach out, comment. We're here to help in any way that we can. Thanks again.